Joe Biden does that. And when I've worked with him, he does ad lib. But very intelligent speakers often will be reading their script and it reminds them of a scenario that may be further down in the script. And they talk about that. And the teleprompter operator is then left wondering, should I move on or should I stay? A lot of teleprompter operators will panic, but that's just part of your job. The first time I worked with him, the writer just smiled and said, "Stay here, don't jump to the rest of the script." And Joe did a great job. He ad-libbed, he went from here to there, and then he segued back to the teleprompter. So for me, it wasn't stressful.
How does, we call it an autocue, you call it a teleprompter, how does it work?
Let me ask you again, what do you call it there?
We call it an autocue.
Autocue. Okay.
Autocue, yeah.
Autocue is a brand of a teleprompter.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Years ago, there was a brand called Teleprompter, and it was with a capital T, and then it sort of evolved after that. But AutoCue is a brand. But yeah, so the way that it works is there is a monitor on the floor or underneath a camera, and a mirror placed above the monitor. So, and that mirror reflects the vision of the monitor so the speaker can see the words on the monitor, which were on the floor.
And what's the role of the operator? How does the script get into it? And who then controls the speed and that sort of thing when the words are going past?
Okay, so that's where the teleprompter operator comes in. The client will email us or give us a thumb drive with their script on it, and then we upload it into our teleprompter software. And from there, we need to format it. And that's very important for speakers, because if it's not formatted correctly, then your talent is going to goof up, and that's not a good thing. So the talent will start speaking, and the teleprompter operator will follow their pace. It doesn't always work that way. Some people aren't familiar with teleprompters, and they stand there and wait for us to roll while we're waiting for them to roll. But basically, we're there just to support them and guide them to just prompt their speech. Yeah, if that makes sense.
And I'm guessing that TV presenters, news anchors have a bit of time to rehearse, particularly if it's sort of one-off program. If you're doing a big political speech, do you get to meet the politician, get used to their style, get a chance to rehearse, or do they just turn up, plug it in, and away you go?
No, there's no time for rehearsing. The President of the United States is very busy, and they go over their speech with their writer. But when it comes to the teleprompter, you get your thumb drive, you put it into your software, and they wait on you. Then the president comes out. It's all quite stressful.
Okay, so this sounds very stressful. The president comes out, definitely with the all of the American media, probably lots of the global media, all watching as the president's about to speak, and you're sort of controlling what the president's saying. Tell me, which presidents have you operated teleprompters for? Tell me some of the people that we will have heard of.
Oh, I would go all the way back to Jimmy Carter, to our present day president. Yeah, I've worked
You've
with
done every president.
Yeah, except Ronald Reagan. I did not do Ronald Reagan.
Okay, so I suppose I've got to ask, who was good? Who could you just get in, whack the speech in, and away you go? And who is more stressful for you?
Well, that's a very difficult question because it depends on the day. It depends on what's happening in the news. So if something stressful is going on, or someone's having a bad day, that will affect their speech. And I don't really like to name names. I like to keep my clients confidential. That's what I'm there for. I don't give their script out ahead of time. I don't say who I work with. You know,
Oh, of course, because sometimes it'd be quite sensitive. You might find out about a big announcement or something before the rest of America and the rest of the world.
right, right. And usually they give us the script last minute because it is so confidential that they don't want even the teleprompter operator to have their script until right before they walk on stage.
Now, what happens if I imagine some presidents are more prone to this than others? They wander off script a little bit. Something pops into their head, or something happens in the room, and they start talking. Or they jump to a different bit of the script. How do you cope with that? And I think I get my senses, having seen him, Joe Biden might do that a little bit.
I have heard that Joe Biden does that, and when I've worked with him, he does ad lib. But very intelligent speakers often will be reading their script, and it reminds them of a scenario that may be further down in the script, and they talk about that. And the teleprompter operator is then left wondering, should I move on or should I stay? A lot of teleprompter operators will panic, and but that's just part of your job. The first time I worked with him, the writer just smiled and said, "Stay here, don't jump to the rest of the script." And Joe did a great job. He ad-libbed, he went from here to there, and then he segued back to the teleprompter. So for me, it wasn't stressful.
Tell me about a moment then when it has been stressful.
Okay, that might be one. When people, it depends on how badly somebody is ad-libbing. But let's see. So you want worst moments?
Yeah, maybe like a worst moment. When has something gone wrong? Either for you or the machine or the speaker. What could go wrong? I mean, sometimes I'm just trying to think. Some of the examples we've got in the UK that I've been looking at, there have like being messages in the thing saying, end of sentence or strong message here, and the person's read that out. There's been, it going down. We had Gordon Brown when he ran for the Labour leadership. His face was totally obscured by the glass plates. So it seems like there's lots of things that could go wrong. But when's something gone wrong for you?
Well, let me think. There's a couple of things. Once I was working with Bush Senior, and right before he came on stage, all of the Secret Service dogs came around my equipment. This was in Alabama, so there was a teleprompter from Alabama with my equipment. And I got a call, an urgent call saying, we may not be able to use you, the Secret Service. Well, I know I don't have a bomb in my equipment. We don't have any security threats in the gear. I don't understand what's going on. Well, it turned out that particular operator was getting high on the way to work, and all of the cases smelled like marijuana. So the dogs were all over the gear. That, yeah, that was not
Wow,
something we could
that
predict.
sounds bad. But to be clear, that wasn't you.
No, no, oh
That was a
no.
different operator.
No, they were renting my gear, and that was somebody else. Yes. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
I can't imagine any of my operators doing that. No. And then there was another moment where I was working on a national convention speech, and I don't want to say whether it was Democrat or Republican, but it was a national convention, and everyone on stage proceeded to get drunk, which was a problem because they're walking around with um, wine glasses and beer glasses and cocktails. stumbling, spilling their liquid on my monitors, almost running into the mirrors, which tip over and can break. And if my mirror breaks, you cannot use the teleprompter. So that was very stressful. That was one of the worst moments, I'll say.
And so, what's your advice then? Because obviously, there are always new people. You've seen lots of people come and go in politics. You know, presidential candidates, vice presidential candidates, governors, senators, whatever it might be. What's your advice to someone when they're confronted by a teleprompter for the first time? What are your sort of do's and don'ts? Your tips for people?
Well, the first thing is you should get to know the teleprompter operator by name, because this is a two-way streak, and the operator is trying to help you. And if you can know them by name and call them by name and ask them to highlight certain words, that's going to make things better. And to know that you're the one controlling the rate of the speech. So whenever you want to talk, the teleprompter is just going to follow with you. And if you speed up, it'll speed up with you. If you slow down, it'll slow down. A lot of times presenters will speak and say, "You're going too fast. Stop, stop, you're going too fast." And we're going the pace that they want to go. So we will slow down on purpose. I'm not sure. I think that maybe their eye line is in the wrong place. I don't know what their perception is, but yeah, things like that.
And it's the sort of that happens in the Anchorman films, doesn't it? He starts reading and reading faster and faster, which means the teleprompter gets faster and faster. And there's no way out of that. You just need to stop and start again.
Yes, yeah, it's just like that.
Lauri, that's absolutely brilliant. I think that's basically everything I was looking for. Unless there's anything else that you thought that was worth covering, I feel like we've got a nice couple of fun stories which don't get you into any trouble. Is there anything else that you thought we should cover?
I was particularly impressed. One day we were giving a speech outdoors, and the presidential poles that hold the glass were rocking back and forth in the wind. It was terrible. And nobody can rock back and forth and see the script and look like a good speaker. But so this happened to me when Biden was speaking, and I don't know how he did it, but he pulled it off without a hitch. Without a hitch. But that was very stressful. Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yes.
That's great. I had to, because they're on such narrow poles, aren't they? I suppose they are just like a big fan almost, aren't they? A very thin pole and the big glass thing on the
Very
top, so they're
thin,
bound
yeah,
to
because they want to be
flap around.
inconspicuous. Right. They want to be inconspicuous. They want the glass to be see-through, so you don't really see it there. And the wind was blowing, I want to say 35 miles an hour. It was not good. And then there was another time I was working with a CBS sports writer. We were doing a show, and he started punching me while I was running the teleprompter. So like I said, you're supposed to follow the pace of the speaker. And Pat O'Brien was our television host. So I'm following him at his pace. And the writer next to me felt like the show was going faster than he wanted. So he told me to slow down. Well, I know that that's a no-no. You don't stop a speaker when they're on camera. So I kept on scrolling, and he put his hands over my monitor so I couldn't see the words. So I leaned over and I could see on stage one of the teleprompters, and I just kept on scrolling for Pat. Then he starts punching me because I won't slow down. And he's like, slow down, slow down, slow down. Not hard, not like to bruise me or break my arm, but he was punching me and I'm trying to scroll the script. So I listened to him, and I slowed down the speech and tried to make it the pace he was happy with. And at the break, Pat O'Brien came back and said, "Oh, Lauri, what is going on?" And I just knew when he said, "Oh, Lauri, I'm in trouble. Oh, I'm in trouble." And I told him what happened. And he said, "No, no, 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 no. You and I, we're like this. And you follow me and don't you worry about him." And I said, "Okay, I just need someone to sit next to him so that if he blocks my monitor or punches me, I won't have an issue." That was a very strange time. Yes.
That's fantastic.